"Gentlemen, this is Mr. Barson Garland, my researcher," said Sir Charles, with a wave of the hand in my direction. The two policemen half rose from their seats and nodded grave good mornings to me. "These kind officers are being very helpful, Ashley, but so far the thing seems to be a complete mystery." Very helpful? The Metropolitan Police should look to its policies on interdepartmental cooperation, I thought. The buffoons of the drug squad haven't yet bothered to tell these poor flatfoots that they were holding Ned. I had to confess that I hadn't imagined that a minor offence like the possession of cannabis could warrant an overnight stay in the cells, but it struck me that on arrest, to save his father embarrassment, Ned might have refused to give his name. Perhaps such a lack of cooperation, allied to the arrogant Madstone manner, had so annoyed the arresting officers that they had thrown him in a cell simply in order to teach him a lesson. "Have you tried calling the hospitals?" I suggested. "Or police stations, even, if he was mugged, perhaps, or—" "Yes, yes," said Sir Charles, sitting down again. He had taken up the natural position of authority at his desk, with the policeman sitting respectfully across from him, caps on lap and notebooks in hand, like secretaries about to take dictation. "We have tried everything. A missing persons alert has been put out. Every police station and hospital in London has been contacted. Officers from Special Branch will be here soon. There is always the possibility, you see, given my position," he said, lowering his voice, "that the security angle may have to be considered." There was something in the way he said, "given my position," that reminded me forcibly of Ned. The same Madstone maddening apologetic ruefulness, as if status, authority, and birth were embarrassing solecisms to be understood and pardoned. One of the policemen turned to me. "When did you last see Mr. Madstone, sir?" I considered the question. About midday, I should say. Let me see. I spent the morning working on correspondence." My eye travelled to Sir Charles's desk, where the pile of posts still lay, unsigned. "Those letters there, in fact. Then I left at... What time did we leave, Portia?" Portia turned from the window with a blank stare. I could see that she hadn't slept all night and that the question hadn't penetrated, only my calling her name. "I went off with your cousin Gordon," I reminded her, "to show him round Parliament. Do you remember? When was that, would you say?" "Lunchtime," she said in a dull voice. "You went off at lunchtime, and then you came back." "Came back?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "I don't think—" "Oh, yes, you're quite right, though. I let myself in to pick up my briefcase at, I suppose it was around 3 o'clock, but I didn't see Ned then. You were both otherwise engaged," I amended with care, winning the ghost of a smile from one of the policemen. "And then you were off to a job interview somewhere, weren't you? What happened?" The story tumbled from her. I could tell that she'd told it many times to others and over again to herself, and that in the telling of it she hoped somehow for a meaning or clue to emerge. Ned had not been there when she emerged from her interview. She had waited around Catherine Street, gone home, phoned, and then at 7 in the morning she had finally managed to persuade a House of Commons official to telephone Sir Charles in the country. He had driven up and called the police, who had so far discovered nothing. "You'll forgive me, miss," one of them said now, "but there were no bad words between you and Mr. Madstone, were there? No quarrel or anything of that nature?" Portia stared at him. "Quarrel? Me and Ned? No, that was impossible. We could never. We were like—" Sir Charles went over to her with a handkerchief and put an arm round her shoulder. The policemen exchanged glances, then saw me looking at them and transferred their gazes down to their notebooks, all deeply affecting. "Is there anything that you think I could be doing?" I said. "Anyone I should call?" "That's very kind, Ashley, but I don't think—" Sir Charles began. "There is the question of the media, sir," said one of the policemen. "They can be very useful. Maybe Mr. Barson Garland here could call someone you know in the newspaper world." Sir Charles stiffened. The press were not his favourite institution. They liked to mock him for being out of touch and for possessing an accent that made the Duke of Edinburgh sound like a filing clerk. They habitually referred to him as Barkingstone, Looney-Stone, and Sir Charles the Mad. "Do we really think that's necessary?" he said worriedly. "Surely they would only—" Any further consideration of the role of the press was put aside by a loud pealing on the doorbell. Portia gasped, and, wriggling from Sir Charles's grip, went to the window and looked down. "Oh, it's just 3 men," she said dully. "That'll be Special Branch, sir." Sir Charles stood alone on the carpet, suddenly looking every month his age. It occurred to me that he had put his arm round Portia to support himself as much as her. "I'll let them in," I said.